Are you going through any major transformation and you're starting to see that not only the transformation is delayed, but there are actually people within the organization that are derailing it? Perhaps you have launched a transformation that has been going on for more than 2 years, and you have made plenty of communications, have had plenty of town halls, and have tried to explain the strategy as best as possible. Yet the transformation is nowhere in sight to be completed. Not only that, people are actually not even actively pursuing to complete that project. They're actually getting other things done under the name of this transformation, but it's actually not related to it. And your process, your transformation is just delayed. Perhaps you might also be seeing that in your organization, you have much higher absenteeism among the employees. Or you may be seeing employees are not taking any time off. It's the month of December and people still have a lot of vacation days left. Or it may be the month of June and people have already used up all of their vacations. These are some of the indications of things that are not going well in an organization. And our research shows that when a company has highly engaged employees, productivity, absenteeism goes down, productivity goes up, sales revenues goes up, and a lot of these things are contribute to the actual bottom line, the revenue of the organization. Hi, if you're signing in, if you're watching the show live, I'd love to hear from you where you're signing in from. And if you're going to watch this at a later time, please put in the comments below where you're watching it from and what are some of the challenges you're facing in your organization or in your transformation project that you would love to get some advice on. Or let me know what are some of the problems you're seeing that is something that you are having a difficult time addressing. If we haven't met before, my name is Fahim Karim, and I'm an employee engagement expert, and I work with faith and value-based companies in creating a safe container where everyone gets to express their opinion and their ideas safely, and managers get to lead and listen, employees feel empowered and part of the company, and a company continues to grow and innovate, even while you may have people working remotely or in a hybrid situation. One of the things I'm really passionate about is in helping organizations understand what causes employees to get disengaged. Now, some organizations, they are very aware of the importance of employee engagement and culture and how that plays into their future growth and legacy. However, many organizations actually struggle to try to understand why would we be interested? Why should I be interested? I have certain goals to meet as a leader of this organization, and I have a 1-year goal. I want to get those done. Why am I going to invest in employee engagement? Well, our research shows, and this is something that is quite well known, that across the industries, 70 to 75% of the initiatives, transformations, they fail. And to be more specific, that they fail to meet the expectation of the key stakeholders. And that is a big number. I mean, imagine 70 or 75% of the transformations that you may be initiating are actually going to be successful, not the opposite. But how to do that? Well, and why would certain transformations fail? To give you a little bit more about myself, I worked in one of the largest financial institutions in the world, working with multi-million-dollar projects and teams across the globe. And I know firsthand when certain things are done well and how positively it actually impacts the bottom line, and how certain change events, if they're not done properly, what kind of a nightmare it can become. With more than 2 decades of experience, I know that firsthand. I've seen it, and I have successfully managed many projects to make sure the implementation was not only smooth, it was on time and without any kind of a hiccup or major exposure or risk. So one of the things I shared this week on my weekly video is a topic that is dear to me. It's called how to implement major transformations on time. As somebody who has been involved with change and transformations, as I've seen organizations, I've worked with clients that have gone through mergers after mergers, acquisitions, and integrating systems together, bringing teams together, and getting systems and applications built for digital transformation. Some of these simple principles are often, as we research different organizations and work with different organizations, you find that it is lacking. And that is like the initiative from the leadership asking the question to understand versus asking the question to steer. And what I mean by that is, let's say I want to do a big transformation. And to me, I know the solution because I have had various successes in the past. In my mind, I know my organization better than others, maybe, and that I feel I know the best solution, and the solution is A. Now, when I call my team, who are actually going to be involved in getting this transformation done, I have a two choice of asking the question, asking the team to implement this transformation. One is by asking questions that will actually steer them to the solution that I have in mind. But I also have the other alternative, to ask the question to really understand their perspective. I'll give an example. Let's say, as a CEO, I was approached by a vendor. And that vendor did an awesome job in convincing me that this application is going to solve all my organizational problems. It is the solution we have been dying for, right? And so I'm enthusiastic, I am sold, and I make the decision and I write the check, and then I bring my team in and say, guys, this is what we're going for, this is what is our solution. Why? Because everybody else seems to be using it, and so let's go, make this happen. Guess what happens? A lot of times, these things that are being promised are oversold. And when it actually rubber hits the road, the people who are actually going to be implementing the system, they find out many things are not going to solve the problem that was the root cause. So why did this happen? It's because of not asking the right question. So one of the tips I have to share with you, this is something I learned in my training at Cornell on strategic decision making, is when it comes to decision making, to use this approach. I'll give you another example. Let's say I'm an art dealer and I like to buy art and I sell to homeowners so that they can beautifully decorate their wall. And the way I buy those art is that I go to auction houses when somebody is having like an estate sale, and I go buy those arts from there. However, I have a team. I have a team of experts in my company. Some of them specialize in different kinds of artifacts. Let's say I'm an expert on art, or like painting, abstract art. Whereas others in my team may be experts at something else, like more about household decoration items or furniture of that nature. So in this particular auction, I was told, and I find out that there's a neighborhood that just got built, and so they have all these big walls that needs to be filled. So there's an opportunity, and there is an auction taking place, and I go to this auction, I'm going there to buy paintings. However, when I go there, instead of paintings, I see that they have some amazing table decoration items on a discount and really good prices. However, I don't know anything about table decoration. I'm not an expert in that field. I don't know what do the people currently like, what's the true value, and if this is going to be worth taking the risk on. So at that moment, I have a choice. I can decide to buy those table decoration items, which I'm not an expert on, and then have my team sell those, or I can call someone in my team who's an expert on table decorations and ask them what's their opinion, whether I should make this purchase or not. So the technique I'm suggesting, that what I want to share with you, is that when I or you as a leader am going to make a decision, if it is only me who is going to be implementing who's solely responsible for implementing this decision, then go ahead and make that decision, provided I or you have the expertise, right? If, on the other hand, I do not have that expertise, and I am not, and even if I have the expertise, I am not the one who's actually going to be implementing this decision, in that case, we shouldn't make the decision, we should deliberate. Deliberate meaning give it to or engage the teams who are actually going to be responsible for implementing this decision. Hey guys, what do you think about this? This vendor just approached me. They're promising the skies and the heavens. And tell me, is this really what you think? What are your thoughts? I want to get your advice. And don't, when you're asking their question as part of avoiding to steer, don't say that what you feel strongly about, because now they might, out of respect for you, not wanting to make you look bad, they will say, yeah, you know what, this looks like a good system, when they are not convinced themselves. So that's one thing I want to share. Number two is that letting go of the ego, right? One of the things that we as leaders have a challenge with sometimes, and this is something that is known as the tyranny of success. When we have, as leaders, have had successful projects, successful implementations, successful things we have done within the organization, we sometimes tend to have this bias towards our own success, thinking, I've made so many successful decisions in the past, I'm going to make this another right decision here. And that decision may not be the right one. So in this example where, let's say, I as the art dealer, when I engage that person on the team who is the expert on office, on home decoration or table decoration items, that person might say, you know what, Fahim, I'm sorry, but that's really I wouldn't recommend buying those. Those are worthless. And at that moment, I can be, if my ego gets in the way and say, you know what, I hired you, but I built this business long before you do. I think it's going to work. Well, then what was the point of asking, right? Now, granted, there are sometimes you are going to have teams that have a bias also. For example, let's say you want to bring this new application in, and your team is just they're having, how do I say it? They love the current application, maybe because it is really a good application, but it also could be that they're not open to change. And it also could be that it's job security. Hey, this system is not going to be, the new system is going to automate a lot of stuff, and then I may not be able to keep my job, right? So that also you have to be mindful of. But in general, when you're asking your team to participate with you in making the decision on a collaborative approach versus imposing your decision, letting them come together, even though they come up with a decision as a team that is different than the one that you had in mind, go with that. Why is that? Because, number one, that decision was built on autonomy. And our neuro leadership research shows, by Neuro Leadership Institute, one of the things as human beings we crave for is autonomy. When you allow your team, when initiating this large transformation within the organization, and you ask them sincerely, like, please tell me, this is what you're trying to solve for, what do you think? And then when they come up with a solution together, not just one or two prominent person, but together they all feel like, yeah, this is something, we all vetted it out, we all discussed the pros and the cons, and we actually came up, we feel this is the best solution, which may not be the solution you had in mind. Go with that. Number one, you're building, it's based on autonomy. You gave them the autonomy to do that. Number two is that by you letting them make that decision, they now have ownership. They actually co-created the solution, the transformation. They had a say as to what they feel are the realistic deadlines, what are the realistic budgets, and what are the realistic things that you can achieve. By then, they have ownership. And then you truly have a much clearer picture of what is actually needed to make this transformation happen and what is the really ideal solution. I'll in this current day and time with COVID, and the data on stress that people and employees are experiencing, the data on burnout, whether you're in a healthcare organization or an organization that is going through tremendous amount of pressure because of the economy or the demands, employees are truly in need of leaders that understand and really care and honor and respect them. And it's not just for this interim period. The future is what requires leaders to be heart-centric. In the past, it was all about the strength, right? How much muscle you had, because we were all industrial nation. How much strength that you had as an employee, that would be what is required. Right now, it's about how intelligent we are, right? But in the future, it's about how are you and we as leaders reaching the hearts and minds. Because without that, people are not going to be driven. You may have a very technically efficient team. What do I mean by that? Meaning that you have a lot of skilled people, and when you have a lot of skilled people, you have a very technical, expert team. But if you want a high performance team, a team that's going to generate for you, and let me just give you the numbers. These are the numbers for employees who are highly engaged. They have 17% higher productivity, 20% more sales, and 21% higher profitability. Also, the numbers are for teams that are at the highest percentile of engagement. It shows that those employees have 81% less absenteeism, right? So if you have employees right now who are not showing up, they're just calling out sick more often, it's probably because they are feeling disengaged. You're going to have, but on the other hand, by just focusing on giving these slight adjustments, 81% less absenteeism, and then 61% fewer accidents. That means if you're in a healthcare, in a hospital, you actually have 58% lower patient incidence, right? And then 41% fewer quality defects. What does that do to your bottom line? Truly, it's amazing. So if you found value as to what you heard here today, and I'm presuming that you do, I encourage you to please tag someone and share it with someone who needs to hear this, someone who might be struggling with this particular transformation that they're working on, and they could benefit from it. Please share it with them. And also, please leave me a comment below. Let me know what are some of the challenges you're facing with your transformation, and I'll love to hear from you. Until we meet next time, tread softly, speak kindly, and love unconditionally.